Hey folks, my name's James Clark and I'm a Territory Manager for Gallagher Animal Management in North America. Today we'll be doing a well-rounded introduction into electric fencing, specifically Gallagher's PCC in-store setup method, how to read Gallagher's packaging, and finally we'll be going through how to set up a fencing system for your customer. PCC is Gallagher's in-store setup method. It is a retail system that flows in logical order of the choices you would make when creating your complete fencing system. PCC stands for Power, Conduct, and Construct. P stands for Power, which is the energizer portion of your system. They come in M for mains or 110-volt plug-in, B for battery, S for solar, and Gallagher's MBS multi-power units. Each one of these options fills a need and an application. The first C stands for Conduct. This is the wire portion of your system. Gallagher's options include both poly and turbo products, the difference of which is the number of strands in each, and as a result, their conductivity. Gallagher also offers aluminum and high tensile galvanized steel wire. The difference between those is their longevity, tensile strength, and their conductivity. The last C is Construct. These are your posts, insulators, and all other materials and accessories needed to complete your fence, which include your grounding system, lead-out wire, testers, and more. Now that we understand the flow of a store set, it's time to understand Gallagher's packaging. We will go through all the details on our packaging and give you all information needed to guide your customer to the right products. On the front of the Energizer packaging, you will find the joules, which is a measurement of power. The more joules, the more power your Energizer has. Some of the livestock and wildlife the Energizer can be used for, maximum area and distance the Energizer is rated for, and the warranty, which for Gallagher is standard 3 years. On the back of the packaging, you will see a comparison of our Energizers close in size so you can see if a larger or smaller Energizer is needed for your situation. You'll see maximum or clean fence distance, as well as typical fencing maximum. These two numbers give an overview of the power needed according to area and conditions. For Conduct's packaging, I will be using both a poly wire and turbo wire. The difference between these groups of products are the number and type of metal strands used within. This difference is shown on the front of the packaging, along with warranty, that it is UV protected, and some of the livestock and wildlife it could be used with. The front also tells you the thickness and length of each product. On the back of the packaging, you will see a comparison between each product. Here's where we see the difference that those strands make in terms of resistance. The accompanying information explains how that difference affects a fence of different lengths. You will also see some of the information from the front repeated. Construct contains all your posts, insulators, and all other materials needed to construct the fence. For Construct's packaging, I will be using Gallagher's wood post claw insulators. On the front you will find how many units are in each package, the warranty, post type, and the maximum wire thickness. On the back, you will find installation instructions, along with suggested products and accessories. Now that we understand how to move through a Gallagher store set and how to read the packaging, it's time to build a fencing system. We will go over a few guidelines and move through how to select the right products for your customer using a few examples. The question I'm most often asked is why electrical over traditional fencing. For starters, it saves both time and money in terms of construction and maintenance. On top of the monetary benefits, it is also a much more efficient system. Unlike traditional fencing, which is a physical barrier, like a wall, electric fencing provides a psychological barrier. This means that instead of an animal continually testing a fence until it fails, due to the shock, the animal will actively avoid the electric fence entirely. Before you begin to build your customer's fencing system, here are a few key questions to ask to help guide you to the right products. What are they keeping in or out? This can include livestock, pests, and predators. How large of an area is to be fenced? This will help determine the size of Energizer as well as the amount of materials to be used. Is 110 volt readily available? If not, you'll be moving right on to the solars and battery units. And finally, is this a permanent or temporary fence? This will help determine what types of materials will be used later on. When selecting an Energizer, all stores have a Gallagher Energizer selection chart. This breaks down the Energizers into 110 volt, multi-power, battery, and solar units. It provides the joule rating, maximum and typical fence distance, as well as the animals it is recommended to use with. Now we will use those 4 questions we learned earlier to build a fencing system. We will say that our customer is telling us they are fencing in beef cattle on 150 acres of land. They have 110 volt readily available in the barn nearby, and this will be a permanent fence. Using this information and the Gallagher Energizer selection chart, we can see that an M800 is a good fit. However, you can always choose a larger Energizer, especially if the customer has indicated they will be adding on in the future. To continue with our example, we move on to conduct. For this situation, I recommend high tensile galvanized steel wire. To determine how much wire is needed for each situation, discuss with your customer and use both the area and amount of sections it will be divided into to give you an estimate. Now we move on to construct. The posts I would recommend for this example are T-posts, wood posts, and Gallagher's insulated line posts, which is a semi-permanent post giving both a strong and flexible option. Depending on the preference of the customer, you will be guided to the insulators that work with that post. As we can see here, I have chosen a T-post and a Pinlock insulator. Including the insulators needed for your main posts, you will also need your corner insulators, which include your high strain insulators and your wire strainers. Also in construct is your grounding, a very important yet often forgotten aspect of your total fencing system. We recommend a minimum of 3 6-foot ground rods, spaced 10 feet apart, with one wire connecting all of them in relay back to the Energizer. Finally, to complete construct and our fencing system, we choose all of our connectors, gate options, and lead-out wires. You can also recommend accessories such as testers and switches. While this recap does not show all of the materials needed to build a fence, it does show all of the selections we made in creating a complete fencing system for our customer, including a few added accessories.